We are Cactus Wrestling. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss out on future videos.
Hey, welcome back to Cactus Wrestling. So, we've been talking off camera in our text chain about, what are some ways that we can make wrestling better in general, and kind of promote aggressiveness, excitement, and, not Will Luans or, Bo Bartlett type wrestlers. And I think we kind of came up with a decent solution that doesn't involve changing the rules to wrestling at all. It just changes the way that duels and tournaments would be scored. So obviously they implemented the 3 point takedown to kind of reward offensive wrestlers to score points. So let us know down below what you guys think of this idea. Maybe it's a little crazy, maybe it's a little funky. Let us know what you think. But basically, I took, as you can see, there's a couple of matches from this season, close scoring matches. So Michigan, Ohio State won 20-19. Ohio State, NC State won 21-20. All these are Ohio State, by the way. Ohio State, Cornell 21-20. And then Iowa State 18-14 right here. So the idea is that, okay, right now the way the system works is that if you win a match between 1 and 7 points, you score a 3 point decision. If you win between 8 and 14 points, you score a 4 point major. If you win by 15 or more, you score a 5 point tech. And if you get a pin, you score 16 points. So we're keeping all of that. However, what we would be adding is however many points you scored in your match, that gets added to the team score. So, for example, in Michigan, Ohio State, and this is the real outcomes. I didn't put the wrestlers' names, but this is the real outcomes. Michigan won 16-1. So they score a 5 point technical fall plus 16 team points from the tech. So after one match, instead of being up 5-0, Michigan would be up 21-1. Then the next match, 15-6. 15-6 would be added. So if you add it up all the way, Ohio State won the match 20-19. They also outscored Ohio State 77-72. So it really doesn't like change the outcome all that much. But what I think it would do is that it would incentivize wrestling throughout the match, because in this system, quite literally, every single point that is scored matters for the team score. So imagine, like, right now, there's no difference between winning a match 2-1 and 7-1. So it's like, how
Right.
do we incentivize more action? Well, if we reward the guy by, giving team points based on scoring more points, even though it's still a decision or still a major, if he's able to get a couple more takedowns to increase that score, why not? It's an incentive to continue wrestling. So
Yeah,
again,
because I mean, if you think about it, like even in like if you're say that you're in a close team match, you're in the final match, and your team needs 8 points, and you need to hold off giving up eight, like losing by eight, like you're gonna try a hell of a lot harder than if like I need to win it or lose it. Like it definitely changes the complexion of how you might approach wrestling that match.
We do a version of this with my high school and my youth guys where we'll do like 30 burpee it's called like a 30 burpee rule, um where each point you win by is one more burpee for your opponent at the end and one less for you. So it's like, hey, I won 7-2. Okay. Both guys start at 15 and then one down, one up, whatever. One 7-2. Okay, I have 10 burpees, you have 20. Where a pin is worth one extra point because we want to incentivize constant scoring, constant. I'm looking to tech. I'm looking to score points the entire match, build my conditioning by scoring points, not just, hey, I'm lazy in practice today. I got a takedown on a guy and I'm just going to ride out and win 2-0. I think it's interesting if you want to scroll to the Iowa State. how
Yeah.
this new rule would change it.
So in the duel, Iowa beat Iowa State 18-14. But if we implemented this rule by points, Iowa State actually would win. They outscored Iowa 84-71. And there were no pins. Pins, we can talk about pins in a little bit because pins would be like, how do you quantify a pin?
Crazy
Yeah.
though that
But there were no
they
pins in this
outscored
match.
Iowa that much.
So like the big matches was David Carr scored 16-4 and Younger Bastido scored 17-6. So it's like, I mean, there's some crazy matches, 14-13, but Iowa won a lot of low scoring matches. So you can really make up a lot of ground by, having guys who really widen the gap. And I think that's just interesting. I don't know if it's the right way because Iowa won 6 matches and won the duel. But like up here, Ohio State only won 4 matches. 3 of them were pins, and they beat NC State. So who's to say that Iowa State only winning 4 matches shouldn't be able to beat Iowa under this system?
I think the higher scoring would also incentivize people to want to watch duels. I think it's what people like about basketball is that like, oh, the high scores and everything. And in wrestling, it's like, okay, now you have a guy that's actually got to get after it. And it's like, oh, hey, we're down 47 to, 38 or whatever, or, we're down 38-47. Crazy high scores. It's like, I need a tech here. I got to get after it. I gotta get more takedowns. I'm going. And I think that would also draw fans in to help build up the sport more for viewership.
Yeah, I feel like even casual fans would find it more exciting.
Yeah.
Well, because I think people like basketball and because there's always a score every few seconds, and the score is always changing. And so like this, you could literally live update the team score every time a point's scored. So you could have one in the bottom of the corner, like Iowa State. Okay, it's 7-2, and then oh nope, 7-4 team score, and then oh all right, after the win, he gets the the because there still should be the decisions in the majors. There should be some incentive to actually win the match. I think that should stay because if I was thinking about it, so we can come to the pin now. Like, how would you quantify a pin? And we did a whole video about this. Should pins or should tech falls be worth more than pins? And a lot of people were like, well, pins are kind of like the whole point of wrestling. That's like
Yeah, it's the pinnacle of the sport.
yeah, it's like that's how the rules originally were. They were like you wrestle until you get a pin, and then they introduced the point system and all that stuff. So let's say, all right, yeah, fine. Pin is still remains the top. If we're rewarding points based on pin, then maybe you just give 20 points for a pin. Just 20 team points is a pin, something like that. I think where it might get confusing is like, I think Mike and I were texting about this. Let's say you're losing 14-0, and then you reverse him, you put him on his back, and then you pin him. Does the guy who was up 14-0 get 14 team points for his team?
Right, yeah. Like or does that just the pin just nullifies it and it's just the pin points?
Wipes it out.
I feel like that would be, I mean, that's an
It would-
incentive to go for a pin. Like the pin
Yeah.
wipes your team points out. Like the pin, yeah, that's the ultimate equalizer.
Oh yeah, he's gonna get us 14. This is looking great. And then
And I think that would also be great because if pins aren't incentivized, it's like, oh, I'll just take him down, let him up, take him down, let him up. But if it's like, no, like I'll get a lucky throw in there when he goes to cut me and I'll pin him, it's a whole, huge margin now.
yeah, momentum swing. That's exciting if you're watching it.
I also think like the hidden benefit of this too is that it would carry over so well to international wrestling and freestyling Greco, where they're like, hey, constant scoring. I mean, we've talked about it. A tech in freestyle can be in like 10 seconds.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the higher pace of freestyle that we're seeing guys like Mitch Messenbrink, Meyer Shapiro, Vito, the speed, the agility, where the constant looking to score points that they apply in freestyle, if we can get that into folk style, where it's like, hey, you get 30, you can get 20 points for your team if you just keep going after it. That would be a huge difference maker. And I think you'd see guys really working to score points, which would help in the long run carry over to Team USA's success on the freestyle circuit.
Yeah. I definitely see a lot of benefits to it. I think even guys who are losing by quite a big of a margin would still be incentivized to score points because literally every point matters. Like you go out there, you get a stalling call, you get an escape. Like do whatever
Yeah.
you can, milk every second out of the 7 minutes out of it. Because
Hey, I
right
may
now
not win the match, but I still am helping the team.
yeah, I mean, we talk about it like, we kind of pick on Bo Bartlett, but like he wrestles complacent a lot of times. And even like, Lenny Pinto against Truax, like he was up big 6-2 and then kind of shut down the rest of the match. So in this system, if you win 8-7, sure, you get a decision that's 3 team points, but that's really only 1 point extra. Whereas, a guy could win 11-1, that's 10 extra team points. Like that's a big gap. So yeah, I think it'd be interesting. Like, so, obviously there's a couple of examples here. I did do Penn State, Nebraska. For those wondering, it wouldn't change anything. Penn State really, with Carter and Brooks and Kirk, really led the way. So
89 points looks a lot better than 22, though. I'll tell you that much. 89-54. Sounds a lot better than 22-13.
That's true. Yeah, 22-13 makes it seem a lot closer.
I mean, especially these ones, 77-72, 70-64. Like those are, 84-71. These are all within 20, but this one, 45 points. And what's crazy is that, if Kirk got pinned, Penn State loses the match. So it literally did technically come down to the heavyweight match, for Penn State and Nebraska.
Right. Yeah.
Just like old times.
Imagine if Kirk got injured and injury defaulted out. Like,
Yeah,
Nebraska
would have
wins.
pulled it off.
They'd shoot him in the back like a thoroughbred horse.
But let us know your comments down below on this type of system. I think it's a small little change. We don't need to be changing the rules. I think there's been enough rule changes. But like, how do we, and this could apply to team scoring as well. Like every point matters type of thing.
NCAA, we know you're watching, so we will be your North Star. Just follow the directions as we described and
follow the Cactus channel.
Well.
If you like this idea and you think that it could help make wrestling a little bit more exciting, make wrestling a little bit better, feel free to share it with your friends, your coaches, any
heard it here
wrestling
first.
fans. I think, we're onto something here. Maybe it's not fully fledged out, but I think this could be a cool little system that we see implemented.
All you have to do is call it the Cactus rule set, and then that's all.
I think I'm going to run this at my youth practice just to see what would happen. And if it goes well, apply it to the high school team. We're going to do like an inter-team duel and be like, oh, you guys won 3 matches, but they got a tech and sucks for you guys. You lost.
It sucks for you guys.
I just think it'd be tons of fun. The little kids would love to get into this.
There you go.
They would love this, man.
Excellent.
So let us know your thoughts down. Let us know your thoughts down below. Let's keep continuing growing wrestling and college wrestling. And if you have any other ideas on how to promote change or make wrestling a little bit more exciting, let us know down below.
Thanks for watching. We are Cactus Wrestling, and we'll see you next time on our next video.